Folks, how we doing? It's Monday, July 3rd. Looking forward to tomorrow, July 4th, Independence Day. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to a lot of people out there, veterans, non-veterans. It means a lot. It's not about drinking. It's not about blowing crap up. It's not about doing stupid things. It's about our independence. And speaking of independence, let's talk about gear for a minute. I see all the time on these social networking sites, some of the sites that I subscribe to, some people ask me questions and comments on things that I do. Gear to me is an individual. Gear to me is as unique and as individual as the person that is using the gear. Okay. If you've got a $10 knife and a $5 sleeping bag and a 26-year-old tent and, $25 pair of boots, and those things have been working for you as an individual, then those are the pieces of gear that work for you. I see all the time these people, pushing these $500 knives and $300 pair of pants. True story, Fall Raven pants are like $300, which is completely ridiculous. Do you need good gear? Yeah, you do need good gear when you're out there, especially if you're out there long term. Do you need the most expensive gear that's on the market? No, you don't, because a lot of times that's not the gear that's going to work for you. Like I said in the beginning, I'm going to make this short. I don't want to run into a long video. Gear is your gear. What works for you? If it's a $4 stainless steel cup that you've been using for 10 years from Walmart, then that's what works for you. If you want to go out and spend X amount of dollars on a Yeti cup because everybody's got one, oh God, you got to have a Yeti. You don't have to have a Yeti. Okay? Use the gear that works for you. I've been using the same knives for the last 10, 15 years when I go outdoors. I beat the hell out of them. Excuse me. I beat the hell out of those knives. And they work for me. And none of the knives that I take with me cost over $20. I have a charade old timer that I take out and I baton wood with, and I use to make feather sticks and chop through this and chop through that, and it's been tried and true the whole time. So again, I'm not going to go into a big rant about gear. You don't have to have the newest, biggest thing. Be an individual, because once you're out there, if it's a survival situation, if it's a situation where you don't have a choice and you that's where you're at. That's it. You're there. And the gear that you have is the gear that you have. The most important part of the whole thing is make sure you know how to use that gear properly. A lot of people throw a bunch of stuff in a bag, haul ass out to the woods and say, here I am. And then when they get there, they have no clue on how to work that stuff. It's like a gun. If you don't practice with the gun, you're not going to be proficient with the gun. It's that way for everything. Okay? Work on your skills. Because it doesn't matter if you have a $500 knife or a $10 knife. If you don't know how to use either one of them, you're screwed. It's been on my mind for a couple of days. These people, I don't know where they're at. I don't know, from all over the world. And, they could be 12-year-old kids, firing off knuckle babies in mommy's basement. I don't know who they are. But, they'll say, what's the best bushcraft boots? What's the best first off, what the hell is a bushcraft boot? I don't understand. A boot is something that protects your feet from the outdoors elements while you're there. That's what a boot is for. Okay, so if mine costs $10 and yours costs $500 and mine keep my feet dry and yours keep your feet dry, who's the winner? It doesn't make any difference. Gear is an individual thing. It's unique. It is, like I said at the beginning, it is as unique as the individual carrying it. And again, if you don't know how to use the gear, it's not doing you any good anyway. So get out there and practice with the gear. That way you're going to find out what does and doesn't work. And believe me, when you throw your bug out bag together and you travel 8 miles with that bag on, you're definitely going to understand what does and does not work. because for the most part, you've got way too much crap in that bag. Way too much crap. Because you've been watching videos, and it's a must-have, and it's a must-have, and it's a must-have for survival. It's a must-have, it's a must-have. Not a must-have. What you must have is the things that work for you. It's as unique as your fingerprint, to me. All the stuff in the background here that I have, that I've stored, that I've got here, this, that, and the other, that works for me. Okay, it might not work for Dave down the road, or Billy over here, or Jim over there. It may not work for them. They may have a whole different setup. They may have no setup. Excuse me. You've got to work on what works for you, and you've got to get out and use that stuff. And not just on sunny days. Go on a rainy day. Set your tent up when it's pouring down rain, because if a situation arises where you're out there in the middle of nowhere and it's pouring down rain, you're going to want to know how to do that. You're going to want to know how that works. So stop worrying about being the next Bear Grylls. Stop worrying about being the next Cody Lundin. Stop worrying about being the next Survivor man. Because when it all is said and done, and it all comes down to your individual survival, it's the gear that you have that works for you that's going to get you through. I hope this helps. I don't want to rant about it. And if anybody's got any comments that they want to add or anything like that, go ahead and throw them down in there. Yeah, I see too many people on these sites. You know, in these bushcraft clubs, or whatever you want to call them, on YouTube, this, that, and the other, and Facebook and everything else. That you know, this guy's got an SE knife, so it must be the best knife. I must have to have that knife. You don't have to have that knife. You don't have to have that knife. You don't have to have. Get what works for you. That's all I got to say. And I hope it helps. Anybody got any comments, just go ahead and pass them on. God bless you. Have a great day, and enjoy the outdoors. See you.